So in return for the money from Epstein, she agrees that she'll basically forever discharge the said second parties. In other words, anyone else who's involved, Andrew's not named, and any other person who could have been included as a potential defendant from all manner of action and actions of Virginia Roberts. So the key thing is this: is Prince Andrew off the hook, James, because Virginia Roberts agreed to this clause in exchange for the money?
Well, I'm neither judge nor jury, so let's see what they say. I would say that this strengthens, I suppose, Andrew's case that she took the money and knew what she was signing and shouldn't have taken the money if she did want to take further action. Having said that, I think that quite often people will look at cases and say, well, was she a sophisticated individual? And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean that as in, was she able to make the judgment over what she was being asked to sign, i.e. had she been talked through it, in the sense that very often we're asked to sign things that we don't necessarily know the implications. And also the advancement of the Me Too movement means that a lot of things that people perhaps had thought had been tucked away in the past and written off and bought away would no longer come back. So I don't think this is the buy-all, catch-all. And whatever happens, even if he does find a way to wriggle his way out of this, by implication, his ability to come into public life ever again, I think, is going to be tainted.
Well, he's going to be, Ash, waving this around. He's going to say, well, any other person, that's me. Remise, release, acquit, satisfy, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know whether, as James suggests, Ash, maybe it's not very dignified for him to be doing this.
Well, I think that's a really good point, because there is the principle of innocent until proven guilty. That is something that's very important. But the court of public opinion goes by different rules. So if you are a member of the royal family, if you're the Queen's son, and you are getting off the hook on a sexual exploitation case on a technicality, that won't necessarily put to bed the concerns and worries that the public have. And the royal family lives or dies by the faith that the public has in it. So I don't think that even if the case was thrown out on this technicality, that it would necessarily do a lot for Prince Andrew's reputation. There is something interesting that I'd like to draw your attention to, which is that Prince Andrew appears to make two arguments at once at various different points. So I went back and I rewatched that now infamous Newsnight interview with Emily Maitlis. And to Emily Maitlis, he's consistently saying, look, I was not particularly close to Jeffrey Epstein. I'd go see him 2 or 3 times a year, but we weren't close friends. But the lawyers in this case are making a slightly different argument, which is that he was close enough to Jeffrey Epstein to be considered a possible defendant and therefore is shielded by this agreement as well. So you have two arguments being made to two different audiences, and I wonder if that will come a cropper at some point.
He, of course, we should say he vehemently denies the allegations. I mean, in a way, if you look at it from where Ash started, Storm, which is that you're innocent until proven guilty, the guy can never really clear his name at all here, can he?
Well, he can't, no, unless he goes through the courts to clear his name.
But even then he won't. He'll always have this hanging over him because of that photo.
Well, if he could have proof that he never went to those places, if he could have proof that he never associated with the young girls that Jeffrey Epstein associated with. Worryingly, though, his defence now is that he could be in this clause of potential defendants. Now, if somebody has been paid off for a crime that's been committed to them, and you are then associating yourself as somebody that could have been a defendant in that case, that doesn't look great.
No, it's a very good point.
It looks really bad. Whether he's guilty or whether he's innocent, this is not a good strategy for somebody who public opinion really matters.
Maybe he should just go to the States and just say, all right, go on, give me your best shot. I'll take the lot and I'll see what happens. Maybe he'll end up in jail like, no, that's not going to happen, is it? Like Ghislaine, that James, never, ever will you see Prince Andrew behind bars.
I think it's very unlikely. I mean, I do find it astonishing that we keep turning back, and as Ash mentions that interview, that we keep coming back to that. Why on earth did he agree to do that? And also when he said, well, nobody saw me, I don't have any alibis that can, reference the fact that I was at this pizza place. I don't know about you, but whenever I've seen or met a member of the royal family just in passing, I remember exactly where I saw them. And exactly the situation. I remember when one of the royal family came in, I was having dinner with some friends, and in they trooped. You don't forget it. And similarly, you don't forget when you meet one of them. They may think that they're kind of invisible and nobody sees. Everybody sees. And if he cannot bring together alibis and corroborate his story, well, then I feel further sorry for him, that I'm afraid this is a cloud that will forever hang.